Hey everyone, welcome in. I'm Captivate, and OP14 is finally out, and today we're going to be looking at Crocodile. He has the effect all of your opponent's characters cannot be removed from the field by your effects, and then also the ability that says activate main once per turn you may KO one of your characters with a type including Baroque Works, and give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 10 cost during this turn. Then you may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. So once this leader got revealed, everyone was kind of like, what is this going to do? Because we didn't have any of the support for him. And essentially the whole deck got printed in OP14. So we can look at an example deck list now. So really the main pieces of the deck are going to be your searchers. You have a normal searcher, which is just going to look at the top 4. You can grab a Baroque Work card, which is essentially the whole deck. And then the other 3 cards will go in your trash. And then you also have an event searcher, which does the same thing, but instead of 4, it's the top 3. And then it does have a trigger that you can activate it. In addition to that, we do have the Bond Clay, which says on KO, you may play a 5 cost or less from your trash or from your hand. So kind of see the way that this is going. Bond Clay is going to be one of the more important pieces of the deck. So you'll fill up your trash kind of as a toolbox to play 5 costs out with the Bond Clay. And then we obviously can KO him with our leader effect. So on your Fordon turn, for example, you can play the Bond Clay for 4, and then you can leader effect the Bond Clay with your leader effect, trashing top 2. Assuming you already have some searchers in trash, like that you played from your previous turn, you'll probably have, like 6 cards in there. So you can grab a 5 cost out of there and then play the 5 cost out. And then these are your 3 5 costs that you will typically play out with the Bond Clay. The Miss Doublefinger is going to increase the cost of your board by 2. And then she also gives herself plus 1000 power if you have, I believe it's 7 cards in trash. And then there is the Mr. 1 Daz Bones, which is going to rest a cost 0, and then also he has rush into characters if your opponent has a cost of 0 on board. And then we do have the Mr. 5, which is a blocker, and then he says on play, if your opponent has a character with a cost of 0, you may draw 2, trash 1. So these are the 5 cost kind of utility characters that we can play out off of the Bond Clay. And then we do have 2 bosses in the deck, which is going to be the Miss All Sunday, which is essentially reprinted Gecko Moria, where she's going to let you play out a 4 cost and a 1 cost. Very type locked this time because they have to be from Baroque Works. So really you're just going to play out one of these 2 4 costs and then one of your 1 costs off of the Miss All Sunday. We'll go over those combos in a little bit, but that's kind of the general idea. And then you do have the 8 cost Crocodile, which has a lot of text on him, but very simply what he does on play, if your opponent has a character with a cost of 8 or more, you get to draw 1, and then one of their cost 9 or less cannot attack on their next turn. So you can play him and then freeze something for a turn, and then he does have an on KO ability, which is trash 1 card from your hand, and then you may play me from your trash. So essentially on your 8 dawn turn, you could play Crocodile, stun one thing, KO him with your leader effect, and then stun another thing by replaying him out of your trash. Some of you who are more familiar with some of the other decks in the game and the way that OP14 is going might know that just about every single black deck in the game uses Ground Death. This is just pay 1 to get a plus 4k counter, and then its main effect is you may rest 2 Dawn, so you'll pay 1 for the card and then rest an additional 2, so 3 total to negate the effect of one of your opponent's 5 cost or less characters. So you can turn off blockers and things like that when you're trying to go for game. And then we do have the inclusion of Patchwork, which is going to say one of your opponent's rested 0 cost characters will be stunned at the start of their next turn, meaning it does not restand. So what we can do is things like use our leader effect to make anything on their board a 0, because we can reduce the cost by 10. So if they have like a rested 10 cost Newgate blocker in Ace, we can make it a 0 cost and then Patchwork so that it doesn't restand. So yeah, that's just kind of a brief overview of the deck list and then some of the cards in the deck. So I hope you understand what the deck is doing if you've never seen it before. So now we can kind of go over what is the game plan of the deck. We're going to look to fill the trash as quickly as possible while digging for our combo pieces. So as I mentioned, our combo really is going to be Miss All Sunday, and then she's going to play a 4 cost and a 1 cost out of your trash. So she'll play either the Bond Clay or the Miss Valentine. We'll go over these combos in a little bit. And then also we are digging to, typically in the end of game, we will just look to spam Crocodiles for the last like turn or two and then stun half of their board. So Miss All Sunday generates us a ton of value in the mid game, and we'll typically look to play at least 1 or 2 of these in the mid game to go wide while generating card advantage. So with the combos that we can do is we will either try to clear their board through Mr. 1 and then Miss Wednesday by reducing the power and then KOing or swinging into something that was not rested before. Or we'll play the Miss Valentine to draw a card and then turn the Bon Clay into a Mr. 5 to kind of generate us more cards, because the Mr. 5 is going to draw to trash 1. So we kind of get to draw 2 cards off of this 1 Miss All Sunday while playing 2 like relevant bodies. So yeah, that's really what we're looking to do. Like, it's essentially the same thing as just playing like a value Moria for anyone who's familiar with the way that like Lucci or Gecko or half the black decks in the game used to play, where they would just go like Moria, play Rebecca, grab a 2k, and then Branu as the like 2 cost, to kind of just draw 2 cards while building out this board of like relevant bodies. Robin does the exact same thing, so I think playing this deck in that way to just kind of generate a ton of value through the Miss All Sunday is really good and really strong. I mean, Moria got banned for a reason, so obviously you can't hit some of the crazy combos that Moria used to do of like Rebecca into Reduction into Lucci to KO their entire board, but we do get to generate that many bodies while drawing cards, so really good to just play out Miss All Sundays. Don't fall into the trap of playing Crocodile before developing a board. I've seen a lot of people, specifically when you go second, a lot of people are like, I have 8 Dawn, let's play this 8 cost character. I think that's really wrong in this deck almost all the time. Crocodile is really good and really good at stunning their board, but it is almost always better to just play Miss All Sunday. And I think you want to kind of like structure your hand with your searchers and things like that to try to resolve at least 1, if not 2 to 3 Miss All Sundays before you start chaining Crocodiles, because what happens is you will have had like a 6 Dawn turn. So you like play Bon Clay on 4, and then you could play one of these 5s on 6. So now you have 2 bodies, and then you play Crocodile, which, like, sure, that's fine. One of their guys can't swing. But if instead you played Miss All Sunday and you got 2 more bodies while killing one of their body or while drawing 2 cards, it just generates you a lot more advantage, and it gets you ahead of just about every deck in the game by doing that. And then you can just play Crocodiles in the end game to kind of freeze whatever they've played, because Crocodile can stun anything in the game after you use your reduction. Yeah, so Crocodile stuns 2 bodies per turn, and then as I mentioned, we can combo him with Patchwork. We're able to lock down 3 bodies. So the way that that works is we can play Crocodile to stun 1 of their standing bodies, play or use our leader effects to KO the Crocodile while making their rested body a 0 cost. The Crocodile would replay himself by trashing 1 out of our hand to stun another one of their standing bodies, so that's 2 bodies that are stunned, and then we can use the Patchwork to pay 1 Dawn and then make the 0 cost that's rested frozen and not restand. So 3 bodies in total will get stunned if we do that. So typically I do like to just hold one of these in my hand, because almost every game you'll want to play one of those towards the end of the game. So now we can look at our curve. This is probably a lot, but going first, you can just kind of think of both our first and second turn, our 1 Dawn and 3 Dawn turn. Really all we're doing is playing searchers here, trying to find our combo pieces for the mid and late game. This girl here, you can't see her effect, but she says on KO, draw 2, trash 2. So you can just play her. You do go -1 card, but you do get to see an additional 2. And then with our leader effect, when we leader effect her, we can drop 2 more in the trash. So it really just gets the ball rolling, and she's a really good consistency piece if you don't see either of your searchers, to just be like, okay, good, I'm glad I saw her. Going into our 5 Dawn turn, we will typically want to play Bon Clay into one of the 5 costs, as I've mentioned. The reason that we would want to play Bon Clay into one of these is these 2 specifically, the Mr. 5 and the Mr. 1, have on-play effects that are related to if the opponent has a cost of 0. So if they don't have a cost of 0, these 2 are basically just 5/6 vanilla bodies. So ideally we do want to play Bon Clay into one of these, and then we could also play the Miss Double Finger. You kind of just have to learn the matchups as to which one you want to play. So specifically if you're playing against like a blue deck that's going to have Jozu, you're really going to want to get the Double Finger on board, because otherwise they can just Jozu bounce any of your 5, but her cost increase is going to make it so that Jozu can't bounce anything. And then really from this point onward into our 7 to 10 Dawn, we're gonna just want to try to do like Robin combos, or just chain Crocs towards the end of the game. Once we have our board, like really all we're doing with this deck, if you simplify it down to like its simplest state, you search to find big bodies while filling your trash with these mid bodies. You have like 1 or 2 turns of playing these mid bodies. And then really, you're just looking to do like different combos with Robin, which I'll explain those in just a second. And then just chain Crocodiles. That's really what the deck is. I think it's really fun, but that's the deck. So now we could talk about Miss All Sunday. So I have already explained she can play a 4 and a 1. So these really are the only 2 4 costs in the deck that you can play, and the reason that you would play each of them changes a little bit. So obviously we can play Mr. 2 and then play him into the Mr. 5, which is going to be a blocker and draw us a card. But there are times where you will leader effect and get unlucky, and then maybe, you know, you hit like your first leader effect of the game and it's 2 Crocodiles or it's 2 Robins, and you're like, oh dang, I'm down 2 of those. What you can do now is you can just play out the Mr. 4, and then on KO, whenever he blocks, you can get an 8 or less from your trash to your hand. So you can grab any of your bosses back by having him die. And if you are against a deck that, you know, like maybe it's a blue deck that can just bottom deck him, or bounce him back to your hand, you can leader effect him and just kill him instantly. Obviously, like, if you don't have to, don't do that. You'd much rather get the block off so that you can save yourself the cards by getting the block and then drawing the card. But if you really need to, you can kill him, and it's essentially like searching your entire deck for another Crocodile. So really good. You kind of just have to figure out which situation you're in, and if you need more late game bodies, or if you want to go for some of these mid game value plays. In terms of the 1 cost you'll play off of her, really you're going to be playing All Sunday in 2 different ways: value and control. This is the this is the value, this is the control, and I'll explain those here. So when we do the control version of Miss All Sunday, obviously this 5 cost is going to be Bon Clay. We'll just instantly KO the Bon Clay with our leader effect and then play out the 5 cost. So Dazbones will rest a 0 cost, so leader effect the Bon Clay to make one of their people 0. The Dazbones will come out, rest the 0, and then Miss Wednesday has the effect that says give up to one of your opponent's 0 cost characters minus 3,000 power during this turn as an activate main. So we just trash her, give something minus 3,000. So if they have a character that has like let's just say 8,000 power on board, what we can do is play Bon Clay, leader effect him, turn him into Dazbones, rest the 8k body, use her effect, turn it into a 5, and then now we have 5, 6, 8 that we can potentially swing. And then he has rush into characters if you have a cost of 0. So sometimes you want to swing with him first, sometimes you want to leave him standing. Obviously situational, but I'm sure you can use your judgment to decide what you want to do there. So this is really like, ideally, you will play this one first, because they're going to have like a relatively small body on their 6 Dawn turn. So like maybe they played like a 6 cost 7k or something like that you can just rest, turn it into a 4k, kill it, and then now you have a 2 body advantage over them. And then we do have the value version, which I've also kind of previously touched on, where we have the All Sunday into, you know, Bon Clay, leader effect Bon Clay, play Mr. 5. You get the idea. And then Mr. 5 has, if your opponent has a cost of 0, draw 2, trash 1. So he will draw us a card, and then she will draw us a card. Really important, stop using your leader effect to mill once you get to a certain point. So typically you are looking for like these pieces once you are like, so obviously these pieces to play off of Robin, and then typically one of each of these so that you can kind of have options for your Bon Clay. As soon as you hit that, stop leader effecting. Like, I don't care how many cards you have left in deck. Maybe your first like 2 leader effects, you got like these 2 and then Miss Valentine. Like, you don't need a leader effect anymore. Obviously you can, but you will run into games where you lose because you deck out, because you just mindlessly leader effected every turn. Don't do that. Please don't leader effect every turn. As soon as you have what you need, like leader effect is only filling your trash enough so that you can get what you need. As soon as you have what you need, stop leader affecting. You'll lose the game. Yeah, so this is the value. So you'll get to search top 4. Ideally, you'll look for like more Miss All Sundays or more Crocodiles to kind of continue your, you know, like boss spam. That's pretty much all you're doing. And then now we can look at our going second curve, which obviously very similar to our going first curve. Searching on our first turn, Bon Clay, you can leader effect him the turn you play him into one of the 5s. Obviously, just pick whatever you need depending on the situation. 6 is the same. If you already have like searchers or anything on board, you can just like leader effect the searcher to make them have a 0. And then play one of these 5s out of your hand. Or you can like Bon Clay into one of these 5s if you have it. And then, you know, just continue with your Miss All Sunday or Crocodile. Yeah, so that is pretty much the game plan. So now we can go over what to mulligan for. Very important. Really, all you're mulligan for in this deck is if you have like a hand that looks terrible but has searchers in it, you can keep it like 9 out of 10 times. This deck is very bad if you open with no searchers. Like sometimes you just open with like double Croc, Patchwork, Robin, and then double Finger. And then you don't have any way to like dig through your deck or fill your trash. So like if you have any searcher, I typically think it's okay to keep as long as you have like a searcher and a Robin, like something like that you can kind of just like play. But really you just need like one searcher will get you kind of through, and the searchers can search the opposite searcher. They can't search themselves. So like Disappointed can find Valentine, and then Valentine can find Disappointed. So if you're really digging for something, you know, like maybe you're on your 6th on turn and you don't have a Robin yet, and then you search and you don't see the Robin, but you see a Disappointed, grab the Disappointed, go deeper, find the Robin for next turn. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. We will jump into some gameplay now. Hopefully, this kind of lays out how to play the deck for you. If you did enjoy the video, like and subscribe means so much to me, and it helps the channel out a lot. I am an affiliate on TCG Player, so I'll have my link in the description down below if you want to buy any of the alt arts for this deck. I think the 8-cost Croc is one of my favorite alts in the game, so I personally grabbed some of those for myself, and if you do want to buy some of those, I'll have the link to those in the description down below. I do want to thank you for watching the video, and as always, I will catch you in the next video. I hope you enjoy the gameplay. I'm gonna have a lot of OP14 decks coming out this week, so I will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. Alright, so we are going against ST29 Luffy. This is a fairly new leader that just released for us here in the West. Fortunately for us, or maybe unfortunately if you want to play this leader, the main support cards for it aren't actually out at the moment. The EVO3 Robin, and then also Nami power up this deck quite a lot, and they currently aren't out for us. So there's typically 2 ways that people play Luffy. They play like a Thriller Bark, just play the cards from Moria in the deck, or they play like a burn deck with the 6-cost Robin and 8-cost Kid and kind of look to just burn you on curve. So generally with our opening hand, we're just going to look for searchers. Typically, if I see like one search, I'm fairly happy to keep my hand, and then if not, I'll just mulligan because that will typically get the ball rolling. We do already have Bon Clay, which is good. Ideally, we do want to make sure we have him in trash for the Robin, but we can easily enough just play him and then use his effect the turn that we play him. I'm going to go ahead and grab the Ground Death here, and then we can drop the Mr. 5 into trash so that we can play him off of the Bon Clay on our 5-don turn. Really, I could play either. It really wouldn't make too much of a difference on that turn, but we do want to make sure we have a 0 cost. So this can make sure that I have a 0 cost without needing another character on board. I could take the Searcher, or I can take All Sunday. All Sunday's the pretty clear option here because we do want to have a 7-don play. This Cammy is very interesting. I've never played against this. Interesting. Okay, so if I counter with Ground Death, then I trash a life. I've never seen this card before, at least not played against me. Okay, so I can go ahead and play her out just to fill my trash a little bit more. We have, for the most part, like, ideally I'm going to play this on my 5-don turn, but what you do want to do is make sure that you have one of each 5 cost, just so that we have options, and I do like the Mr. 1 in this matchup so that I can rest whatever they play. So we can go ahead and play this down, and this will give us a free leader effect, essentially, because it costs us 1 Don, but doesn't actually cost us any cards out of hand. And then obviously they don't have a stage. So we could pre-play this. I don't think they have any way to get rid of it, but I'm fairly happy just keeping the 2Ks in my hand. I would like to keep one in the trash to potentially play off of the All Sunday on 7, but we can go ahead and pass here because I do know that they are generally a deck that plays a lot of triggers. So I'm fairly happy just waiting. Typically, I'll wait until my, like, 7 dawn turn, because we can close out the game fairly quickly once we have just a swarm of bodies through. We'll play a 6k body on our 5 dawn turn, and then Robin will get out another body along with herself. So we can go 3 wide on those 2 turns with relevant bodies. Yeah, so I'm assuming they're playing a fairly standard list just with this Cammy as a 2k. I mean, alright. Generally against this deck, if I'm a 5 life leader, I'll take 1 just so I can kind of see cards and options. Because I have my curve, I think you could make the argument for me to just counter out of this with the Miss Wednesday, but I like to see cards, so I'll see 1 more. But yeah, our trash, obviously it's not set up perfectly because we do not have a Mr. 1. I would, if I had a Mr. 1 here, I would love to play the Mr. 1 and get rid of this Sanji on this 5 dawn turn. So we can see if we can drop 1 in trash when we leader effect the Bon Clay. But if not, we can just play out the Mr. 5. So we will go ahead and do this. Leader effect the Bon Clay, make the Sanji a 0. Mill top 2, and we actually do get the Mr. 1. So this is pretty good to just get the Sanji off board. I'm fairly happy with that. We can go ahead and swing 2 6s to ask for 2 2Ks out of his hand, or we could swing 5 7 just to make sure that we clear the Sanji. I think I'm just going to start with a 5 here, and if they want to give me the 1K, they can keep the Sanji alive. Otherwise, I will swing the 7 into it, because I do kind of want to just get the Sanji off board so that he's not asking for cards out of my hand. And if he wants to give me 3 cards to save it, I'm fairly happy with that trade. Because we can think about it like he's going to give me 3 cards to then ask for 1 card out of my hand. So always lets it die there. And then we can pass. Going into our 7 dawn turn, pretty obvious 7 dawn turn, we'll just play Miss All Sunday. Off of the Miss All Sunday, it's kind of just pick whichever 5 you want to play, assuming we have more than just the Mr. 5. Just play whatever situationally is the best. If we had a Miss Doublefinger, she could help us play around the 5 cost, the 5 cost Nami that they do play. But unfortunately we did not have 1 in trash, and then I am going to 2k out of this just because I do know that they're going to look to try to burn our life in future turns, so I don't want to take life too easily, and I can generate quite a few cards in this deck. So I think here what I'm going to do, you kind of have 2, like, your main combo of your deck is the Mr. 1 and then also the Miss Wednesday, so we could reduce the Nami, but I'm fairly certain that the Nami's just going to die when we rest it again, so I'm going to actually just play out the Searcher here so we can draw an additional card, and I'll grab another Miss All Sunday. We can go ahead and leader effect the Bon Clay, make this a 0, and then now once we get to this like 25 like ish amount of cards in deck is when you really want to think about using your leader effect to mill the 2. We don't have Miss Doublefinger, which really is the only thing we're missing, and then we have not put many Crocs in, so I'm actually going to choose not to mill. And then we will play out the Mr. 1. Obviously, if I was missing the Mr. 1 or some relevant body, we could have gone 6 here and then 5 at life, but I'm okay to just swing the 5 here. Optimally, that probably would have been better, so then we can start hitting life, because we do want to eventually start to hit life. But starting next turn, I think it's okay for us to start. And then ideally next turn, they'll probably play something like a Kid on this turn, I think would be their preferred play. We'll just give the counter for the Luffy and then play another Miss All Sunday on our next turn. I really like the value All Sunday. Okay, Robin, and then they'll swing 7, which I think I'll just... Do I want to take this? We can generate enough cards that I think I want to just counter out of this one, because we could play... I will probably play Mr. 5 on this next turn off of the Robin, which is just going to draw us more cards. We do not have another Miss Valentine in trash, which is a little bit unfortunate. So let's see. Yeah, I'm going to give the 2-1 for this. Only because I do know that, like, if next turn they play a kid and then burn my life, or they play, like, the Bonnie. Bonnie's kind of just like 2 life guaranteed unless we can establish a blocker on board, which obviously we can do off of the Miss All Sunday. So we don't have a Miss Valentine in trash, so there's kind of 2 options that you can do here. Instead of playing the Mr. 5, what we could do is just play the Mr. 4. And then use our leader effect to kind of generate advantage that way. So I could either leader effect the Miss Valentine, and then play Miss Valentine off of the Miss All Sunday, or off of the Miss All Sunday we could just play out the Merry Christmas and then leader effect that to draw 1. But this lets us see 4 more cards, and I kind of want to look for more Crocs, because ideally after I play this Miss All Sunday we're pretty much just gonna want to chain Crocs. So we can just start swinging life here. I think I should start with leader here, just swing 5, 6, 8. And then we can leave 1 Don standing for the Ground Death, which maybe we don't want to play. My opponent has 2 or more life cards. Okay. Okay, so yeah, alright. Yeah, so we are going to... I'm just going to leader effect the Miss Valentine, so then we can look for more Crocs, and then be able to play the Miss Valentine off of the Robin. And I'm not going to mill, because I'm going to play this Miss Valentine, which is going to make me go 4 deep. And I really don't want to deck out. So we'll play this, and then we're going to play the Mr. 4 instead of Bon Clay, because we obviously already leader effected. And then, yeah, we can grab the Croc here, and then we can swing 5, and then we can swing 8. Alright, so now we have a very wide board, which is really all we're trying to do with this deck. Just go wide, generate a lot of cards, and then that's likely going to be a trigger body. That's pretty obvious, I feel like. So unfortunately I do not have the counter in my hand to get out of both without using the Ground Death. Okay, they actually don't have the Bonnie. Alright. So I am going to end up taking one of these for sure. I don't think I have anything in my trash that I really want. Like, obviously I can just grab a 2k off of him, but if I use the event, then she's going to make me trash 1. I kind of would have liked, because if it would have been funny if I could have done this before they Kuma'd and then used the Ground Death to just make them trash what they placed with the Flaming Dragon King. So I definitely don't want to counter this one. I'm trying to think if I want to block either of these, because I could just take this Ground Death and then keep the Mr. 4 alive. But what do I want to do here? Because we're going to play Croc next turn, which is going to stun both of these, and then really what we could do is we could stun all 3, assuming they trigger... This is obviously a body. So I think they'll probably take both of these for free, trigger this, and then we could just Croc both, make this 0, patchwork that, and then, like, we're in such a good spot here, we don't really ever die, I don't think. But I'm gonna have to take one of these, because I'm just gonna take one and then block one, I think. And then we'll hold the Ground Death. Well, because next turn they could play... Yeah, I think I'm going to leave him on board. We'll Ground Death this. Because they will... Oh, shoot. Wait, what? Did I misread this? If your opponent has... Oh, it's 2 or more life. Okay, I totally misread that. I thought it was more than 2 life. Yeah, that is on me. Card players do not know how to read cards. So, alright. So, we have 1 life, so they can play Bonnie and take us to 0. But that's okay, because we can just block. And then the Croc is going to draw us a card, because he's actually at 8 the turn that he's played. So that is relevant. You typically always want to try to get the card draw off of the Croc. Obviously, you want to draw cards. And then we can just swing 6. This is probably another body. And then we'll go 8. If I need to, I can change into hitting this, but no. Alright, so we can stun their entire board. And just kill them next turn. Okay, so that'll buff his leader. So we'll play Croc here. Over the Valentine, stun this, and then we're going to leader effect Croc, make this 0. Don't mill. Obviously don't want to mill out once we get into like the later stages of the game. And then we can trash one of the patchworks just to get rid of one of the bricks in our hand, stun that, and then we can patchwork the rested 0 to make sure that she doesn't restand. So now, we don't have any ground death, but we do have 3 2Ks, 2 1Ks, and then really their best play is going to be bonding it, and then we just kill them next turn. So there's really no way that they can kill us here. We have the blocker. But yeah, typically, like, against this deck, I feel like you can just, kind of wait 2 turns. All the yellow decks this set, I feel like, if your deck allows you to, just wait, like, 2 turns before hitting them, so you don't get cheesed by a... That's a big swing. 7 unblockable. Alright. So we'll obviously just 2-1 out of this. And then we will win next turn. So 2 in hand, this is... there's really nothing to think about here. Just kill them. Oh, he goes to 7. Very good. GG there. Yeah, this is... I feel like this deck is bait. I don't understand why this deck has such a high win rate on the sim, but it is, like... It has a super high win rate for whatever reason. I don't really understand why, though. Alright, so we're going against Kaido. This deck had, like, a bit of a buff in EVO4. I'm gonna go... I think I want to go first into Kaido. I think Kaido wants first. Like, Croc's pretty turn agnostic. We have double search, so I will happily keep this. Yeah, so typically, like, on Croc, you'll look to just take whatever your opponent wants, because you can play... Like, All Sunday being a 7 makes it super flexible to going either first or second. So, we do get an All Sunday, and we also get a Bond Clay. I could take the Bond Clay, but I think I'm happy to play the Double Finger. Yeah, I think I want to grab the All Sunday, just so we can at least have that on 7 to play. I really dislike, like, sometimes you can kind of get punished for things like that if you take the Bond Clay. Because we do have, like, 4 and 5 to fall back on, but we don't have a fallback 7. So I think it's, like, really greedy to take the Bond Clay. When we're fairly happy to play either the Mr. 4 or Miss Double Finger. So we'll just continue to search here. Very similar logic to my last thing. I'm just going to go ahead and take the Croc rather than taking another Miss Sunday. I do know that they have the 10-cost Crocodile, and I do want to play around that by playing these 8-cost Crocs, because they can't be KO'd. So, you know, we can kind of play around it that way. I can go ahead and just swing 7. I'm sure he would take a 5, but sometimes I do know that, like, Kaido wants to stay fairly healthy and counter out of these little swings, and obviously I don't have any need for the Dawn, because I'm going to take whatever he swings at me. At 5 and 5, I will take. I'm not sure his best Fort on play. Probably the, yeah, maybe. I don't know if they play Bond Clay or not to ramp, but I know they can do like stage and then Queen, I think maybe. Alright, so we don't have anything in trash to play, so I think I'm gonna just play out the Miss Double Finger. And then we can go ahead and we actually have a Valentine in trash, so really we're not doing too much. I'm gonna go ahead and just leader effect this, just to mill the top 2 and get 2 more in trash for my Double Finger next turn. Or Robin, sorry, not Double Finger. And then we can get a Double Finger on board now. She is going to be a 7, so, like, he's probably going to play that rush, like, 7, 9. I don't remember if... I think it's Kaido. So if they go 9 into this, we do have the 2-1 that we could get, and then that would get the Miss Wednesday in trash. Alright, so I do want to counter out of this. I don't want to go too low because I know he can burn me, and then also these, like, swings are going to get larger at the end of the game with, like, 7, 9s, potentially rush Kaidos, things like that. Alright, so I am going to give the Babe here, and then what I think I'm gonna do this turn, I'm gonna play the Robin, and I'm not gonna KO the Bon Clay, so that if he does 10 costs, we'll at least get to keep a 5 on board. And then we can kind of play Crocodiles after that, assuming we can find more. We do want to play the Miss Valentine, so I'll go like Bon Clay, Miss Valentine. Then we can swing the 7 as well. Looking for like more 2Ks or also Crocs. Honestly, I think I'm going to take the Disappointed here, just so that we can look for more Crocs, because we're really just going to want to like grab Crocs and then stun their board and then just push damage while these can't be KO'd. But yeah, anytime that they can like kill your board, you just want to leave the Bon Clay on board, because like he's still a 5k, and then like ideally next turn we could go like, if we didn't have Croc, we could go like Robin into another Bon Clay, so then really punish them if they want to do any play like that. I'll just give the 1k. I might play that at some point, but really I'm just going to look to play Crocs. I know Croc is really good in this matchup, so like ideally I can just go like Croc the next like 3 turns. None of his big bodies will swing, and then they obviously can't be KO'd by... Well, they can be KO'd, but they can't actually like clear them off the board. Seven, I'm gonna go ahead and take, because we would go to 0 counter, so I think I'm fine to take this, and then if they want to like trash my life, sure. Alright, that is something I've never seen in Kaido. Alright. Very interesting. But we can still stun both of these with Crocs, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna look to continue to push damage face. You never want to swing at the King or the Kaido from EBO4 because it's like KO'd in any way. So like if I swing into this, they can just reduce 1 Dawn and save it. Yeah, so we'll play Croc, and then we get to draw because they have a 10. Leader effect, make the Dofi a 0, and then we can stun it with the Croc. I'm going to hold on to one of these Patchworks. I'll probably use this next turn to try and find the next Croc. I'm not going to mill anything. Trash this. I don't want to mill my Crocs and then stun that. Neither of these can swing, so we can pass there. Yeah, so now if he does play the 10 cost Kaido, like this will come back and then this will turn into a 5 cost. Like I could probably just play out another double finger because she is at least like a 7k body. And then they can only swing at us with leader, so I can just give a 2k or whatever. We're in a really good spot, assuming we can find the next like big body to play. We only have 1 Robin in deck, but we still have 3 Crocodiles to potentially find. So I'm not too concerned, and like realistically, there's a world where potentially we could go for game next turn because they only have 1 life, but Kaido can be kind of tanky with the amount of counter events they play. So oftentimes you can't just like outright kill them from this spot, but we can like put them on a 2-turn clock of like get them very low next turn and then kill them the turn after. Alright, so we will go ahead and just counter out of this. Yeah, so I feel like they probably have a 10 cost Kaido. Really thinking about this decision. Alright, so they'll play Roger. Go to 7. Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying. Like, you can't really... They're very tanky. They can just choose to not die on certain turns. They could leader effect us here and take us to 1. We don't have a Croc, so like... If we don't find another Croc, we have a ton of counter in our hand. Alright, as I say that, we get the Croc. Let's go. So yeah, like, pretty easy. Just stun both of these. Swing everything board. I'm at 3 life. I don't have a blocker, but I think at this point I could turn this into a blocker, like just draw more cards and turn it into a Mr. 2. So I'm gonna play the Croc for 8. This is 7, 8. I can't really get any more swings while also holding Ground Death up, so I think I'm just gonna keep poking here. Just go like 7, 8, 10. I mean, we're already in, like, I would say pretty much a winning spot. I don't really know how we would lose from here. Because this is kind of what happens with this deck. Like, you just cycle your hand enough that you always end with this, like, Ground Death or 2 and a ton of 2Ks. Yeah, so we can go ahead and just... actually, we can't really leader effect this because we want to stun too. So we'll just go ahead and play this. Stun him, and then we can use the effect on Croc to get rid of the 1K, or make this 0, don't trash. Yeah, so now they really only have 2 swings. They can't play 10 cost Kaido, because if they do, like, these respawn, this becomes better, and, like, maybe they can go to 7 again, but, like, they really can't push any damage into us this turn. So, like I'm saying, I don't really know any way that they could win this game from this point. But I feel like Crocodile kind of just is very good against a lot of decks in the game outside of like a certain meta matchups. I'm just gonna go ahead and use the Ground Death here. Like, I don't need to take damage. I don't want to like give him the potential to win this game. So like, I don't want, yeah, something like take that into trash 1. Obviously give a 2K for this one. We still have 2 Crocs in the deck. We are like relatively tanky as well, so we can at least let's just keep poking 7, 8, 10, 10 probably, and see how he responds to those. I imagine he can't get out. Like the deck is very bricky as it is. At least that's what I've noticed. Like there's oftentimes like 3 or 4 of these cards could potentially be. He gave me a 2K there. It's like, do I want to just go 7 again? Because I could go... yeah, I could, like, just push a lot of damage this turn. So, like, he gave me a 2K, so I'll just go 7. Give me another 2K. Alright, yeah, so we're going to... Yeah, so what we can do is, like, leader effect this, make this 0 stun this, patchwork this. So these 2 are stunned. And then I could... I mean, like, in theory, I could play... If I'm scared, I could play the Mr. 5. Let's just keep swinging. Let's just go 10. I think that's a pretty awkward number for him. Because if he uses the event, he won't have any Dawn. He'll have 2 cards. Yeah, and then I think we just go 8. Yeah, 2K. So this is +4. So 11, I think, 12, 13, 14, 15. I think it's +4. Yeah. So 11, 13, 14, 15, 10, 18. So we should be good. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, just 3 bricks left in his hand. Yeah, this matchup seemed like all of these big body decks that kind of just like play bosses, this deck kind of dumpsters in my opinion, because like they play a boss and it just never swings again. It kind of feels like you play Stussy of like just KO their boss, but you also get to draw off of it. Yeah, it's pretty good. Alright, so we're going against Emu. We're going to take second, and really the most important card here is Bon Clay. Double search, I'm pretty happy to keep this. We'll get to see 6 more cards and then hopefully find a Bon Clay. We really want to play Bon Clay on 4 and then not activate our leader effect and then try to just keep like Bon Clays on board as best as we can and then play Robins to go wide and then just stun their board the typical way that Croc will. So we're going to grab the Robin here. We already have 2Ks, so Bon Clay. All right, perfect. So we get the Bon Clay, and then we also have a 5-cost in trash, which is good. There's like random situations you can run into where you get the Bon Clay, but then don't have the 5 in trash, so like they can just kill it anyways. We do have the second curve, which obviously is good for us. But yeah, we're really, so like ideally we will play Bon Clay on 4, Bon Clay on 6, leave both on board, and then going into our 8-don turn, they swing 6, we can just take this one. I'm fairly happy to take the first like 2 or 3 swings kind of against Emo. We'll just poke 5 here. But yeah, like a perfect world, we get 2 Bon Clays on board on 4 and 6, and then going into our 8-don turn, we can KO 1 to play a 5. And then play the Bon Clay off of Robin again, and then get another one. So then, you know, we have 4 bodies on board, and then they could really only KO that 1/5. Alright, Bon Clay. But really, we just want this body to stick through the mid game. So, like, if we could Bon Clay next turn as well, then it means they can't Mars anything on our board. And then if they kill this in any way with, like, a Nustro or anything, once we turn it, then we just get a better body, essentially. Yeah, and then obviously like they would need to play Nustro for us to let it die. Like I'll just save it if he swings his leader into it. And at that point, if they've played Nustro, then they can't Mars the 5 until the next turn. And then we kind of have that one extra body that's just going to be able to deal damage to them. I'm taking that because I'm looking for another play on my 6-ton turn. I don't really have anything very relevant right now. Alright, so it took Workery, and then I do like, if possible, to just kind of poke 6s at them. I really wish, if this lady wasn't just 1-cost staged, then I don't think Emo would be able to beat this deck, but I will just play out the Golden Week here, kind of looking for a relevant play, I would say. And then we will mill 2. Oh, this is not very good. So typically I will need Ground Death in the later games, so I'm just going to get rid of a Ground Death and then a Merry Christmas. And then we can play out the Mr. 4. And then we'll just swing 5, 6. Obviously, like, he's not as good as Bon Clay, but at least we will get a card whenever he KOs it. I think I'll just grab another Robin. So then we can try to go like double Robin, like Robin on 8 and then Robin on 10. And then just Croc chain. You really want to play as many Robins as possible because Emo just doesn't want to deal with a wide board. So obviously if we can spam board. And then we can swing 6. Do I want to swing 6 or I think I might want to leave 1 Ground Death up. I'm trying to think because they are going to go to 7. Probably Mars this for 3, and then they could go like 7, 7, right? Yeah, I think it's fine to just poke another 5, just so we can keep the Ground Death up. I don't really want to take 2 swings, and I don't really want to give 2 cards for one of their 7, so if they do go like 7, 7, then I could take 1 and then Ground Death the other. So 6 and a 5. This is obvious, like we don't want to let this die to this. Because if we let this die, then they can just ground it. I mean, really, we're not losing that much, I guess. We could if we let this die, they can Mars this. Because they can already Mars this. Like, if this was a Bon Clay as well, I wouldn't want to let this die. Because then they could, like, fully clear this body. But because they can already Mars this, if I let this die and then play out a Mr. 5, they Mars the Mr. 5, and then I obviously don't want to block because I do want to keep 1 on board. So if they Mars the Mr. 5 and then they swing at me, I think this is the same outcome as them just Marsing the Mr. 4. Because I give it 2. I mean, I think this just saves me a card. Yeah, so I just let this die, and then I can play out Mr. 5. Obviously, I don't get the draw off of him, but I'm going to play out... like, this essentially gets the Bond Clay in trash for me as well, so that I don't have to leader effect first to get it in trash. And they can only Mars 1, so... Yeah, if I had 2 Bond Clays on board, I think I saved that so that they can't Mars anything. But yeah, they're going to do it anyways. And then now I can just give the 2k here. So yeah, I think overall we saved a card because they would have gone 6 2k, 6 2k, and then Mars anyways. I don't think it really matters. We have a Valentine, and then I don't ever really want to like clear their board really. I mean, I have 1. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. I'll keep her in my hand just in case I want to cycle at a later turn. So, do the Merry Christmas. So they are on their 7 going into their 9. Okay, so we are going to, let's see, I think we do want to kind of hit this Saturn because they can play their Jupiter and then buff them up. So we're definitely going to do Robin, and then Robin will play Bond Clay, and then also Miss Valentine to draw another card. Let's see, I'm gonna take a 2k because we already have a Miss Valentine, and then we have a Croc. I don't foresee myself playing Mr. 1 really. Potentially in the late game, but ideally we will see more Bond Clays by then. I will go over that once we get there. Okay, so now we can swing. Ideally we should have swung first realistically, but we can swing into the Saturn because they are going to 9. If they were going to 10, I think you just ignore the Saturn, but because they are only going to 9, I think I'm fairly happy to swing into the Saturn here. And then as for cards out of their hand or get the Saturn off board, if we go 5 here, he can be Marsed anyways, so I'm happy to just get the card out of their hand by swinging him, and then if they want to play Nostro and kill him, then they can happily do that. Yeah, because if they kill him, they're going to ignore him, that's fine, and then I'm just going to give some counter to stay somewhat healthy. And he leader effect, I'm not sure why he wanted to do that on 9, maybe he thought he was on 10. So probably kill the Mr. 4, and then I'm just gonna grab another Robin so that we can go Robin again. Yeah, really the name of the game is just going as wide as we can, and we'll give a 2k for this. Because I can generate so many cards in this deck, I'm fairly happy staying somewhat healthy. And then, yeah, so now we can just leader effect the Bond Clay and then play out probably a Mr. 5 to just dig a little bit deeper. So we're going to play 7, and I think we can go 6-6 and just kind of ask for 2Ks out of their hand. Or get the blocks, obviously. I'm assuming they're just going to block all of these. Because they're going into 10 next turn, so they're going to lose them regardless. Yep. Alright, so we do not have a Bond Clay in trash already, so I think, let's see, oh, I should have, that is my bad. I definitely should have leader affected the Bond Clay. Yeah, I should have done this before I swung these. That's, like, totally mis-sequencing on my part. I should have always done this, made them a 0, and then I could play out the, Mr. 5 and then cycle, which is what I meant to do, but I forgot about that. I'm not going to mill because I'm going to want to play the Miss Valentine off of the next Robin so that we can draw another card and then do it that way. So they don't have a 0, so we unfortunately will not get the draw because I'm dumb and I forgot. So now we'll do the Bond Clay and then we will do Valentine to draw another card. And then now we can take, do we want another Robin or do we want to start playing Crocs? So let's see. They can Mars this for sure. Low-key, I could see myself playing another Robin. Yeah, I think we do go that route, I think. Yeah, and then we can pass there. Because we could do like one more turn of Robin, kind of just playing two bodies. And then play like a Croc or two and then go for game. We should be able to push a bit of damage at least. They'll probably play the Nostro here to try and clear the Robin, and then Mars the Mr. 5, and then I think we just... Are they missing one? Unfortunate. I always hate when you get to this stage of the game and then they miss one, because it's like, alright, well, this is kind of a non-game, especially when they miss Peter. Like, they can miss... Like, they're all important, obviously, but, like, Peter's pretty important, you know? I probably could have given the 1k there, but it's alright. And then I do want to save this Robin, so we will Ground Death 1k, get out of that swing. Okay, so we have 2 Robins, so let's see. I think we'd want to clear this Nostro so that he can't double reduce, and then also just get one more body off board. I didn't really want to draw into the next All Sunday. So yeah, I think we'll just play one more All Sunday. Because we can't draw off the Miss Valentine, but we can do what we meant to do last time. Actually, so like we could stun this with the... nah, we'll just swing 6. This, I'm sure this will die. Yeah, and then 6 lead, and then we can just go 8-8. They're just gonna draw their cards, take their blocks. Cool with me. And then, obviously, we can always make the Saturn a 0. I'm not gonna forget about that again. Alright, so leader effect this, make this 0. Do not mill because we only have 16 cards left in deck. And then I'm gonna play out Mr. 2. That is terrible. I did not want to draw all of those. Alrighty. So now, let's do... Holy, no, I don't ever die, but I might lose some of my board. And then we can just play... I'm going to do Bon Clay, because it is possible that we'll want to go for game next turn, and then I am not going to play anything else out. Please let me cancel. Oh, shoot, I clicked her. That is really bad. That is very, very bad. That's actually, like, so bad that that happened. I went to just, like, click out of the trash and clicked... that's, like, probably the worst thing I could have clicked on, too. Alright, this is gonna die anyways, so that's really unfortunate. Alright. Yeah, some misclicks. You'll love to see them. Alright, we have no counter, because I would have loved to have accidentally clicked on Val. We still have no counter, and we don't have a blocker anymore. This is very bad. Alright, I don't think... Because he could, like... I could possibly die. Alright, yeah, 1k, let's go. We're going for game next turn anyways, so... I kind of hope they don't kill my Bon Clay. I don't think they will, because it's just going to play something, but... I also really didn't want to use this Ground Death, because I kind of need it on the Workery. Yeah, they do kill the Bon Clay. Okay, that's alright. So... Or not, they killed the Bon Clay. We'll just play the Mr. 5. Yeah, so both of my ways to rest their blockers just evaporated. Uh, 10 into 6. Yeah, honestly... Yeah, okay, this is very good so that I don't have to use my Ground Death. So if I let this die... Yeah, that's fine. And then I'll just block the other one, I guess. 6, 7, 8. No, I think I should have blocked... No, she was 6. And then they go 7. So if I take, I can ground death. They have 2 life. Oh man, that's I'm very unhappy that I accidentally clicked the Merry Christmas, and then also I'm more unhappy that I couldn't cancel it once I clicked on it. Okay. Do I have to go for game next turn? Can I stall this game one more turn? I think I can, but I don't think I ever... Let's see, hold on. How many others do they have? They have 3, so they probably have the 4th since they have 10 cards in trash. Oh, if I had one more body, I would find it so much easier to go for game. So we can stun 3 with the Patchwork and Croc, but really... Oof, 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 oof. Alright, I think we have to take this and just hope they don't have the counter, or maybe we top deck Bond Clay. Because if we find a way to get Bond Clay... No, of course not. Oh, actually, we can make a 0. Okay, this is kind of good. Okay, so it'll cost 5 for Mr. 1. It'll cost 3 for Ground Death. So what we will do is Leader Effect Merry Christmas, making this a 0. And then we won't mill, which will let us draw. Can't trash that, obviously. And then now we can play Mr. 5 to rest, and then we can play Ground Death to silence. This is how you go for game against Emu. And then now we can swing 5, 7, 8, 9. I think that's the best numbers for us to swing against Emu, assuming they have their counter events. And we should have had another Robin to go for game, which like I think would guarantee this, but... I don't think we ever get there, because they'll, yeah, and then I'm sure they have another +4 in their hand. Yep. Alright, so good game there. Very unfortunate. We can just kill that, obviously. We cannot swing at their face with the Mr. 1, but GG's there. Yeah, very unfortunate, but this is generally how you play the matchup. Like, giga huge misclick on clicking the Merry Christmas. Off of the Robin to just delete one of my Robins, because he had 1k. He had it, so he gave me the 2k for this. So if I had Robin, I could have gone another 8, which he would have had to have taken, and then I could go 9, and then we would have had game. Yeah, but you use Ground Death to nullify Workery, and then you just find a way to make their Mars a 0. Like typically you'll have a Bond Clay on board that you can just leader effect and then make a 0, and then play the Mr. 1 off of that. Rest the Mars, so then you negate all of their blockers, and then you just push everything face. So, probably could have made a better decision on, like, not playing over the All Sunday. But, it is what it is, and GG's.